Aralola Olamuyiwa, or Ara, as she's more widely known, is recognized as the first and best female talking drummer in Nigeria. Ara is a sort of rarity in Nigeria. Well, the traditional talking drum, the instrument she has mastered and promoted since the tender age of 5, is something of a dying art in Nigeria. But as other musicians turn to the guitar, the piano, or just stick to the mic, Ara remains one of the few and female talking drummers left in the country. And she has been outspoken about Nigerians and Africans promoting their culture. But she's also garnered much attention beyond the shores of her home country. She has performed for the Queen of England and former U.S. President Bill Clinton, and has even shared the stage with none other than Stevie Wonder. We'll be speaking to the delectable Ara in a moment, but first let's take a look at the star in action. I'm delighted to say that Ara joins me now from our studios in Lagos, looking resplendent and royal, beautiful as ever. Ara, you know, some actually call you Ara, you know, thunder. I mean, if we said Ara, it will also be very, very fitting. So nice to have you on the Arise interview. Oba Obinrin Onilu, that's how you're referred to, right? Now tell us about how this love affair started with the talking drum. How did it all start, and why the talking drum of all instruments that you could have chosen?
I'd like to say a very big thank you for having me on your program today. My name is Ara Lola. Yes, you may call me Ara Wonder. Talking drum for me started from the age of 5. I come from a lineage of kings. I started drumming very early with the other set of traditional drums. I visited my great-grandfather's palace one day, and I saw this old man playing the big drum, the yailu. I summoned courage and said, could I just, have a strike? From that day, it never left me, because the sound of the drum never left me from that day. Now, when the time came for the Ara brand to be, to be birthed, I told my then manager and founder and said, see, I'd love to have the talking drum. I was made to play other drums, other instruments, the set drum and everything, the bass guitar, the violin and all that. But I said, this is the drum, because I feel that my ancestors, prepared me for this. Now, the talking drum was a sole preserve of men for centuries. It was first a means of communication before it became a musical instrument. I believe that it's not just a musical instrument for me. It's more of communicating a lot of wonderful cultural views and beautiful ideas to the world, not just Nigeria. So for me, the talking drum is beyond just a musical instrument. It is a means of communication.
Talk about that communication a bit. When you beat the talking drum, what exactly goes through your mind? What is the message that you try to pass through that drum, the talking drum? Would it depend on your audience per time? What exactly is it?
Well, it does okay. Thank you. It does depend on my audience. It does depend on what part of the world I'm performing. But most importantly for me, it is communicating my beautiful culture, communicating my music, and the message in my music as at the time and when performing.
Described as, oh well, you actually are a cultural ambassador. You are a cultural ambassador for the Oni of Ife, Oba Ogunwusi Adeyeye Ojaja. Talk to us about that. Where exactly do you take this message of your talking drum or culture as a whole?
For me, the world needs lots of love and affection. The world needs peace and harmony. The world needs unity. Back home here in Nigeria and back home in Osun State, the Imperial Majesty Kabiyesi Oba Adeyeye Ogunwusi appointed me as cultural ambassador when he was newly crowned, and my sole assignment as at that time was to harness and create awareness, because His Imperial Majesty was very active in reviving our culture, and it was a vehicle or a tool to enlighten the youths who, one way or the other, had, there was a gap. There was a huge gap between them and the culture. Oba Ogunwusi Adeyeye, His Imperial Majesty the Oni of Ife, bridged this gap when he became the newly installed Oni of Ife. As his ambassador, it was my duty to make sure that anyone who came to the palace, got the right tutorship, the right attention that they needed. And of course, passing the message through my colleagues in the entertainment industry to the entire world, to our people, to the youths, to embrace their culture. For me, my culture is my DNA. My culture is my identity. It is who I am. It is who we are. We cannot run away from our DNA. I know you cannot run away from your DNA. So our culture should be, embraced with all joy, with all happiness, with the fullness of our hearts. It should be passed on to the next generation, to the younger generation. We must not let this die.
And I agree with you totally. But how receptive are these youth, to this message of not allowing the culture to die? And when we talk about culture, exactly what are you talking about? Is it the dressing? Is it the food? Is it in the dance? Is it in your attitude, the way you relate with others? What exactly is this culture you talk about?
The culture I talk about is everything that we are. There is a spiritual aspect and there is the traditional aspect. There's a spiritual and there is the social aspect. Now, the way I dress, the way I relate with you, in Yoruba, we are known as Omoluabi, and I am an Omoluabi. When I see my elders, I kneel down to greet them. When a male sees his elders, he must prostrate to greet them. It is knowing the daughter or the son or the child of whom you are and never forgetting where you're coming from. It is letting the entire community and the world know that you're proud of your heritage, your cultural heritage. So for me, it is basic, very, very important that we exhibit all of this in our way of dressing, in the way we relate with people. A lot is going wrong in our society today because we have kind of deviated from who we are as a people, from our culture. And I believe that when we return to that path, when we embrace that path, most of, if not all, of what we're going through, in some ways now, I'm not talking economical right now, I'm talking our social life, because there's a lot going on in our society that we all are aware of. I'm sure that a lot of things will be addressed, and which gave back to something that I'm on to right now, and I wait till when it is birthday and the entire world we know what we are talking about.
More about it, in spite of the fact that you don't want to, let all of the cat out of the bag. But, I would like to know a bit in what direction really. And I asked you about, how receptive the youth are to this message that you're taking to them. Are you worried that, the typical Nigerian youth doesn't seem to care much about their culture? They'd rather embrace other cultures.
I think they are ready, especially ever since the new Oni of Ife came into the picture. They've been more receptive towards it. I had one of my events titled I Love My Culture. I had one at Alliance Francaise and I had one at Unilag campus. I was very, very shocked because we had some sessions where I threw it open to them to ask me any question that they could, that they wanted, something they wanted to know about their culture. I thought they were going to be asking about what it's time to be barbaric and all of that, but they wanted to know more about the aspect of respect, gender equality, why our culture permits certain things and didn't permit certain things for the male gender, for the female gender. They wanted to know, they didn't even ask me about the religious part. They were asking about the social aspect of our culture, which was really, really interesting for me and which really made me happy. Today, I think the millennials, if you ask me, have been more receptive. If you see, a lot of them now trend in their costumes, in their African attires. If you go on social media, you see that they are more receptive and accepting that aspect of their culture, dressing in and being proud of who they are, dressing and mixing the cosmopolitan African vibes, if you call it that. Well, I would let you know, Eco Inspire Me is one project of mine that is coming up, and I want to say a very big thank you to His Excellency, the Governor of Lagos State, Mr. Sanwo-Olu. This is a dream that has been in my heart for like 10 years. And this is a dream that I had done everything to make sure that this is birthed. And, I tried reaching out to him. I tell you, he welcomed me with open arms, and he said, Ara, this dream of yours that you've wanted to achieve, bringing our culture to the forefront and letting the entire world see the other part of us, telling our stories the way it should be told, and in the way we relate with people on the street. I want to know that I would support you in whatever little way I could support you for this dream to come true. So Eco Inspire Me is actually going to be better. It's called Eco because we are birthing in Lagos. If we had gone to Oyo, for instance, if Governor Seyi Makinde had said, okay, Ara, we would like to have your program here, will have been Oyo Inspire Me. So, but for the maiden edition, we're having it in Lagos State, so it's called Eco Inspire Me. So we're going to be seeing a lot of people, the youths on the street. We call them good boys and girls, but we're going to be calling them the street kings and the street queens. We're going to be talking more about how, we're going to be dealing with the reality of life and how to get out of it and make use of the opportunities. Right. And of course, our culture is going to play a vital role, a huge role on that project.
Of course, you have your talking drum there. I can see it by your side. I'm sure viewers would like to, hear you beat on that drum as soon as we get the opportunity to. But let me ask you, first of all, Ara, before you do that, how challenging has it been for you as a woman in this very unique art, of yours? And, and I'd like also for you, to tell us, okay, great, super, super. How challenging has it been? And they would like to hear that drum.
Well, challenging for me because when I started out, there was no female on the scene. So I happened to be the very first female talking drummer and, of course, of international repute. The challenge was having anyone to teach me. So I had to buy a lot of CDs and, works of artists that I grew up listening to through my father's collection, King Sunny Ade, Yusuf Olatunji, Ayinla Omowura, Sonny Okosum, Chrissy Esenibukwe, Exit Fela, and etc. Then, of course, I did Michael Jackson, Stevie Wonder, and all of them. So by the time I knew that the talking drum had 3 tones, so I started teaching myself and watching the male folks play. Of course, they accepted me on the long run, and I'll forever be grateful to the platform that produced me to the entire world, which is Atunda Entertainment. They gave me the platform, so they encouraged me.
Now. Let's hear you play that drum
before we go
on break. Go ahead.
Okay, great.
Right.
I wish you were here, you will have played the shakere.
Some actually call. My guest today is the musician and performer Ara, Nigeria's first female talking drummer. The star's stage name means wonder in the Yoruba language, and it's no wonder she's managed to carve out a successful career for herself in a male-dominated, almost obsolete field. You only have to look at a clip of one of her performances to be inspired by the thunderous stage presence and love for her craft. And almost 4 decades into her career, Ara is showing no signs of slowing down. Well, I still have in the studio with me the musician, artist, and pioneer talking drum artist, Ara. Thank you so much for delighting us with that talking drum. I'd like, of course, to hear later, before we round this off, what exactly is unique about the talking drum. And can you say Ngozi Alaegbu with that talking drum? I'd like to hear that. But you've performed before dignitaries within Nigeria and outside. The Queen of England, former President Bill Clinton, Stevie Wonder, and all of that. How did that affect your career? Did it change the trajectory of your career, would you say? Tell us how that changed your experience, or that experience actually changed your career.
Thank you so much. It did indeed change the trajectory of my career. Performing before the Queen of England was something that, you know, I never imagined would ever happen. But when it did happen, it's one experience that still lives in my heart till today. It was former President Olusegun Obasanjo was seated right beside her, and I could see the proud look, you know, on his face while I was performing. And he did tell me later when I went to pay him a courtesy visit. Now, with Stevie Wonder did, bring about a major change in my career. I was invited to Los Angeles to record with him. We had met in Ghana. I had opened for him at an event in Ghana, and he invited me to Los Angeles. He was recording his first album in 10 years as at the time, so I was in about a week. Now, the limo would pick me up by 9 a.m. and return me to my hotel room by 5 a.m. Right, Stevie would tell me, hey, Ara, they're going to pick you up in a few hours. So I said to myself, if a living legend like Stevie Wonder was walking around the clock, who am I? What am I to be sleeping? Of course, during the course of mixing some of the works in the studio, Stevie would ask me, hey, Ara, what do you think? What do you think? And I said to myself, I should be the one asking him. He's the one asking me questions. So it taught me humility. It taught me humility like I never knew it, and that nobody knows it all. So when I got back to Nigeria, as at then, Stevie told me he had 1,500 songs unreleased in his archives. So I said to myself, Ara, there is no sleep for you. It's till today, if I was thinking of getting tired of slowing down, I would remember my 1-week experience with Stevie Wonder, and that has shaped and helped me till date.
And tell us about this World Female Drummers Festival. I'm surprised that there's such a festival, because I'm not sure I know any other woman, that handles the talking drum the way you do. How many women are in this? Not in terms of numbers, but how impressive is it?
Thank you so much. We had planned to have the World Female Drummers Festival in Nigeria. Then COVID happened to all of us. We had to shelve it and waited for some time. But now we're coming with our Female Drummers Fiesta. It will surprise you to know that we have well over 200 female drummers in Nigeria as I speak to you. Of course, Ara being the pace setter, they all look up to me, and I feel the onus is on me to create a platform for them to thrive, for the entire world to know what we have. You'll be surprised. For example, the drum I have here in the studio was made by a female talking drummer. She plays as well. So it's a platform for every one of them, giving them an opportunity to showcase what they have, to showcase these beautiful ladies, these young ladies. We have female talking drummers as young as 5 years old now in Nigeria. Before, their parents were not willing to let off, but by the time they saw what was happening with my career, and of course, I would say inspired them. Today we have well over 200 of them, and you'll be seeing every one of them at the Ara Female Drummers Fiesta taking place very soon.
It's quite interesting to note. Now, tell us the uniqueness of this talking drum. Why is it so unique?
The talking drum is a very unique instrument. Like I said earlier on, it was first a means of communication before it became a musical instrument. Until date, it is still being used to communicate. It is a unique instrument because of what it's made from. It's made from animal skin and it's made from plants. The bark of a tree, a specific tree is used, and then we have different animal skin from different animals that are used to make this part of the talking drum. Now, it is one instrument that seems dead, but speaks like the living, because we communicate with it, we understand it. It also speaks the language of the player. Now, if I wanted to, if I was in France and I represented Nigeria at the UNESCO headquarters a number of times in Paris, I played one or two tunes that I memorized then on the talking drum in French. I could play the American national anthem. I could play the Nigerian national anthem. So my talking drum doesn't only speak Yoruba, it speaks English, and it speaks the language of anybody playing it. It's a very unique instrument.
That's amazing. I'm almost tempted to say I would like to hear you actually play the national anthem, maybe just one line. And please don't forget to say Ngozi Alaegbu with that talking drum.
So do you want me to go right ahead?
Yes. Go right ahead.
Okay, so let me say Ngozi's name first. Did you hear her name? Ngozi Alaegbu. So let me go to just a line the national anthem.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Amazing, amazing.
Thank you.
Ara, how rewarding has it been? Encourage a young lady, a young boy who wants to toe this line and is thinking, am I really going to make a living out of it? How rewarding has it been for you?
It's been very rewarding, but of course not from the very beginning. Like every other thing in life or any other endeavor in life, it comes with its own challenges, and funding is definitely one of such. But I like to say that you never give up on your dream. It might not be rewarding monetary. You might not get a monetary rewarding initially, but if you are, if you are consistent, if you are persistent, you must persevere. You must push forward. You must push on. You will definitely get financial reward. Now, part of what I'm trying to do, because of what I had passed through, and I feel, because the onus is on me, to create a bigger and a better platform for other female drummers coming. I have had to go through that, and I believe they do not need to go through that. So I am making this. So any young girl out there who wants to pick up the talking drum, I encourage you to pick the talking drum. You would not regret it. Of course, the Buckingham Palace is coming up very soon. So all the female drummers, we have a home to call their own. Thank you.
Great. Ara, before I let you go, there's always that personal part and sacrifice that women like yourself have to make, you know, balancing family and all of that. Was that a challenge at all? Tell us in 30 seconds what you can. Balancing your career and family.
Oh, balancing my career and family, it's not been easy. Like, nothing good comes easy, but it's my passion. It definitely has to work, but family is very key. Family is essential. I am able to manage both very well, yes.
Fantastic. Oba Obìnrin Onílù Ara Thunder Aralola Olamuyiwa, my guests on the Arise interview today. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's do this again. I am Ngozi Alaegbu. Have a great weekend.